What's happening, YouTube? We've got a full house tonight.
All right, I'm ready.
We got Moochella, we got Larry, and our special guest this week. Y'all see him down in the chat section. It's the big homie, Mike Willie. Mike Willie, what's going on, brother?
Oh, man, not too much. How's everybody doing?
Man, we doing good, man.
That's
we doing
good.
good. Yeah, man. And ladies and gentlemen, we believe it. We believe in bringing in our subscribers and bringing in YouTubers. That's what we do over here. We the networking channel. We believe in making things happen. So let me tell you guys what's going on the show before we shout out people in the chat. Mike Willie, as our guest, want to discuss the position of raising children in today's society. So we're going to rumble about that.
You see that whole Marvel universe in his background?
I see it, man. I see it. Yeah, I see it. I see it. Moochella has decided that she's going to give us the rundown on the Mary J. Blige Amazon documentary. I can't wait for that. Big Larry and Moochella are going to team up to give us the rundown on Fear the Black Quarterback. And of course, I got my new segment called The Fuck. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. And then I got a segment I'm going to talk about President Barack Obama, and then the fake president, Donald Trump. And then my leading story tonight is going to be Sha'Carri Richardson, the track star. And so, and I got a trailer for you guys to watch too. So we've got a lot going on tonight. Let's dive into it. But before we do it, shout out to Bruce. Shout out to AMK. Yes, you've caught us live. Quiet Storm's in the building. Alex is in the building. And William Lawrence is all in the building. We'll go with my story first, then we'll pivot to the special guest, which is Mike Willie. So you guys that I follow track. I was an athlete, and even when I wasn't an athlete, I was still following the sport. We had this young lady right here. I'm going to put a picture up, and then I'm going to give you guys a news story. We had this young lady right here who had become not only almost looking to be the fastest woman in the world, but she garnered the hood queen notoriety. Yes, people in the hood that would normally not watch track and field wanted to watch track and field because of the way this woman was whipping ass with her style. And when I say whipping ass, we ain't seen nothing this fast in the women. Some of her records are standing right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, she got caught with marijuana in her system. And now they're trying to ban her for a whole. First, it was going to be a complete ban. Now they broke it down to 3 months. Let's take a look at the news story, and then we'll go around the table with opinions. And I'll open up and give you mine once we get back. But here's the story.
And Sha'Carri Richardson, who we fell in love with at the Olympic trials because she reminded us so much of FloJo with her style, grace, 100 meters.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
I guess I need to put this thing on right here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, put that on, but we're putting up her picture, the nails, all of it, the sleeve on her, her left arm. She's a real one. Now, we love her. We fell in love with her. She talked about the hardship she went through. She talked about how she persevered, and none of that has changed. But you see the tweet, I am human. Any one of us could have tweeted it, but she's the only one that's supposed to be headed to the Olympics in her race, who is suspended right now for marijuana use. That, according to American Track and Field, reportedly. So we'll see what happens with this. I listen, I'm not abreast of all the rules, and I don't know that marijuana helps you gain an advantage. If they don't want you to partake in drugs, that's one thing. But we're talking about marijuana. We're talking about stress and grief, and who knows what everybody's coping with. We only know some of it because she told us. But I'd hate for... Can we just move on? Track and field, people, please. Then let's just head to the Olympics, okay? Can you stop? Can you stop? Unsuspend her and let's move on. I don't know what to say, Michael, but I don't want her punished. Okay, there, I said it.
Yeah, I mean, USADA is the governing body of the Olympics, obviously, and they do have a ban on marijuana use. They do test. And yeah, marijuana isn't a drug that's going to help you to win a race. I mean, it's not steroids. Yeah, I do agree with that. They may need to take that out, especially with marijuana being legalized in so many places around the world, of course, here in the United States. And it is a coping mechanism for a lot of people out there, a lot of friends that I know. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm not one of those people that know a lot of people who smoke marijuana or do gummies or whatever. So it's in her system. I agree with you in that regards. I will say, and I don't know what she's going through, but once again, we do know that marijuana can help you with anxiety. She's dealt with a lot with her mom and going through that, and then dealing with the pressure of the Olympics. Some people are saying maybe she could have just chilled for a minute.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you my skinny before I pass it to Larry. All right. There are so many nuances to this. I'm just going to make it very short. She's in Oregon. Weed is legal in Oregon, yes. Okay. But the Olympic Federation said no weed. The Olympic Federation is not just an American-based organization. It covers the world. I am for legalizing pretty much any drug, and you do it safely. That's my position. I don't give a damn what you do. Why should I just be okay with people getting drunk? If you have a drug you like, fine, do it. But let's just do it in a way where you're not causing harm to someone else. Having said those things, we always talk about black people have to bend their ass over backwards 1,100 times more than a white person to get to the same distance. I think someone who knew her or someone who don't want to see this girl prosper said, hey, drug tester, I guarantee you she's weeded up. Her persona was a hood queen, whether you like the stereotype or not. And when her ass got out there and was whipping everybody, I wouldn't be surprised if someone sabotaged this girl. But having said that, ladies and gentlemen, she knew the rules. She knew that she had people who was not planning on watching this sport ever about to watch it. And I understand you're dealing with the grief of your mom and you're a human. Yes, you are human, but all humans have rules that they have to adhere to. If not, there's consequences. And so even though I'm sad, I'm upset, at the end of the day, even she admitted she knew the rules and she broke them anyway. So this falls on her. It should have never got to the point where the ball is, we're sitting here begging the Olympic Federation to let her back in because it's weed, it's a nothing burger. Most countries allow it. America allows it. Most places in America allow it. But at the end of the day, as an athlete, I don't understand how you can have discipline with your training, discipline with your food, but your escape was weed when you know you've got these games coming. Having said that, that's my stance on this. She could have avoided this and waited till after the games was over. Pass the floor to you, Larry.
Yeah, this is this is one of those things where, you know, you have some sympathy for the person on some level because they made a mistake and now they're going to suffer in such a way that it can't be fixed. Like you can't just say, okay, well, you know, you can run the Olympics next week. I mean, it's just not gonna. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, maybe she stays in good enough shape that she can compete again in 4 years. I don't know. Here's the thing this is the part of the problem. She broke the rules. She knew she was breaking the rules. She got punished. USADA punished her in such a way that's really almost just cruel. They gave her a 3-month suspension with a 2 months of that suspension suspended.
Right.
So it turns out to be 1 month, which puts her just outside of being able to compete in the 100 meters, which almost just seems cruel. I mean,
right. If you're going to put her on punishment, just leave her out. I don't understand that, Larry. Like that's what's making me, yes, you got your rules, but don't tease us by saying, okay, instead of just completely banning her, we're going to put her on this 3 months, then we're going to suspend 2 months, which means she can come back and run the 400-meter relay. What the? Yeah. I mean, what? Come on, man.
So this is the thing that gets me is that I know some people had made some comparisons to Michael Phelps, and people have said, "Oh, well, Michael Phelps didn't have to suffer like this when he got caught smoking weed." And Michael Phelps did get a 3-month suspension. But here's the difference: is that, and this is one of those things that happens with white athletes and athletes that may have a little bit of money because they've already made it. Michael Phelps did not come from money, so I'm not trying to imply that. But by the time he got popped, he already had a bit of money from endorsements and sponsorships and such. And one of the things that would have made a difference is that instead of her going out there and just saying, yep, I did it, I acknowledge it, and give me my punishment, what you do is you go get an attorney and you let that attorney speak for you. And what you do with that attorney is you say, we're going to challenge this at every front, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and exercise our right to have the backup samples tested, except we're going to litigate all this in court first so that by the time the backup samples are tested, the Olympics are over. And then once they then test it and they say, yes, you tested positive, but it's a non-performance enhancing drug, then they say, okay, well, we're not going to pull your medals because it was a non-performance enhancing drug, but we're still going to give you a 3-month suspension. And so then, okay, she's suspended. She can't compete in the European, on the European circuit that follows, usually follows right after the Olympics, which has already pretty much happened because it's a summer thing. Or no, actually, I guess it would still happen this year because it's about on track. But usually right after the Olympics, they go to Europe. They run in Zurich and some other places and some other big meets. They're just big money grabs. She wouldn't be able to do that, but she would still get the Olympics. And I think that's one of those things that if you are someone that has money or you're white and people tell you this is what you should do and people come into your corner, then that stuff happens. But because she's not, and she's a woman and she's black, they just sort of said, she was sort of left out there, I'd imagine, on her own. Because I can't imagine that there's any way, shape, or form that anyone with an attorney would have said, yeah, go ahead and admit to this right before the Olympics so they can suspend you and you can't run and do the thing you've been training your entire life to do. No, it should have simply have been contested, locked up in court for the next couple of months, and then had the backup sample tested, and then she could have come out. Because they already said it's not performance enhancing. That's why they didn't give her a full ban or a year ban, because it was what they call a substance of abuse, Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's like it wasn't, it's legal in Oregon, but it's not legal according to USADA, because USADA, which is the U.S. anti-doping agency, adheres to the rules of the international anti-doping agency, and they have marijuana as a banned substance. So it's just, a part of me is just like, this is one of those times where I just, I think it was Aaron Magruder who said it with the Boondocks. It was like, this was a nigga moment. This is one of those times where you had everything lined up for you to actually, within a matter of a couple of months to a year, create generational wealth for yourself, your family, and your generations moving forward. And you fucked it up because you wanted to go out there and get high and numb the pain. And
if that's even the truth,
we all suffer pain, but sometimes you just have to suffer through it for just a little bit longer, so that you can go ahead and realize your dreams and make that money, not just for you, but for everyone. Think about her grandmother. Think how much better her grandmother's life could have been financially if she would have gone and done this. And it's
let me get Mooch in here, Larry. Let me get Mooch in here. Mooch, how do you feel about it?
I feel like she's mourning her mom. Her mom died. I feel like it's rules that you have to follow when you play a sport. I had to follow rules with the job that I do, and I couldn't mess with that stuff. So it's just a matter of being an adult and taking responsibilities for your actions, which she has. She didn't. She took full responsibility for her actions. She is going to be banned for her particular race. However, she is going to be able to race in the relay. Mm-hmm. I also feel like she was running circles around a lot of people, and they was telling her it wasn't her time yet. Mm-hmm. So I think they did try to sabotage her.
Yeah,
but that's me. That's the conspiracy theorist in me.
Look. Like I said, look at this chick. She's bringing an audience to this sport that never, like I said, I'm in the gym with some chicks in the hood who stopped me to ask me this girl name. They ain't know her name. but they recognize the nails, they recognize the hair, the eye, they recognize all that. They ain't know her name, so they loved her swag. So
and that's just how it was with FloJo in the 80s.
Right. And so not only that,
but FloJo, there were some real questions about whether or not she was doping. Some serious
they
questions.
never called her.
They never caught her.
They never caught her.
They never caught her.
They never did. But they, I mean, let's be real. They never caught Lance Armstrong either.
Until it was but they
but
did.
Somebody in his inner circle told on
him.
Somebody in his inner circle told on him. So what you think went on with
They
this?
never caught him though. They never.
I understand that, but somebody
now hold up. Now, do I need to give y'all the father speech about going down rabbit holes? I'm okay if y'all go down the rabbit hole as long as it don't lead.
We go. You don't pull me back in. I'm good.
But just don't let the rabbit hole lead y'all to a 3-minute discussion.
But here's the thing. This is the realistic thing. It wasn't a performance enhancing drug. They should just simply say, yes, you're going to be suspended following the Olympics. We are going to suspend you following the Olympic Games. You will not be even if they said after the Olympics you cannot compete for the rest of the track season. I mean, done. Do that. It's not like she got caught with testosterone. It wasn't like she was running around popping that Ben Johnson juice. I mean,
that's not the point, though. That's not the point. She knew you weren't supposed to smoke weed, whether we like the drug or not, whether we feel like the drug creates another situation or not. She admitted she knew she wasn't supposed to do it, and she did. She still did it.
I know, man. That's the thing that gets me. It's like, you know, you were doing something wrong and you did it anyways. It's just like, I mean, you can't blame if you go and rob a bank and you get caught. You can't sit up there and say I needed the money. You knew what you were doing was wrong.
Mike Willie, how you feel about the situation?
Well, I just feel it's unfortunate to begin with, but I kind of see both sides of it. One, it can be her coping mechanism. You know, she just lost her mother. I don't know what that is like, you know, and a lot of other people that are judging her don't know what it's like. Mm-hmm. At the same time, there's accountability for your actions. So, you know, it's two sides of, you know, it's just very unfortunate, though. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, hell, when I'm dieting for competitions, my coping mechanism is food. Everybody has something that they use to de-stress, to take a load off. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm not a sex addict. I'm not someone. My addiction is food. But when I want to be the best in the competition, my addiction has to become sleep. Something that's not going to get me in trouble and something that's not going to hinder me from said sport. Now that's me. And this is not something that, you know, bodybuilding is going to ban me for. It's just I'm going to get up there and look like shit. She knew this is something that was going to ban her. Now, my heart is with her, believe me, because I wanted her to bring in people who wasn't planning on watching and all that. And she still might be able to do that in that 400-meter relay. Because when they do watch her do that, everybody and their mama is going to be rooting for this girl because they felt like the punishment didn't fit the crime. But at the end of the day, these organizations are little kangaroo courts. They can levy and come down with punishment however they want to, and I agree with Larry. If she had, you know, maybe the financial backing or maybe a lawyer want to step up and fight this in court, maybe that they could get this thing pushed back, let her compete, and then see what happens.
I mean, there's all kinds of ways that they can do. I've seen where they've had athletes where they are getting ready to come up to I think this happened with John Jones when he was about to fight. He had been suspended for performance enhancing drugs in the UFC. They did something so he wouldn't miss a fight that he was scheduled to have where he was about to have to give up his title because it was going to be too long in between fights. And they did something where they said, okay, he suspended it. He was suspended, but they went and retroactively moved the suspension date to the time of his actual usage rather than the time of the discovery of his test. So it wasn't, so they didn't say, okay, well, you tested positive on July 1st, and so you're suspended until August 1st. They said, well, you used a performance-enhancing drug on June 1st, and we found out about it on July 1st, and so we're giving you a month suspension, but we're going to go ahead and start that suspension on the day that you actually used it, so your suspension's over. They could, if you have a good attorney, they can get stuff like that done, so she wouldn't miss it. That's why these people need. I'm not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everybody needs to have an attorney on deck. I'm lucky. I have a mother who's an attorney and a best friend who's an attorney and a father-in-law who's an attorney. So I'm surrounded by attorneys. But most people don't have that in their life. Just like Lamont could probably tell you, most people don't have doctors in their lives. And you get some benefits by having these professionals in your lives. But sometimes you need to pay for these things when you make a big-ass mistake. You need to go ahead and pay for those professionals so that they can fix them for you.
Mm-hmm. We'll keep abreast of this, and hopefully she'll somehow or another get in there. This can be a lesson to everybody. When you know the rules and you are this close. Now, I still believe she's going to make a lot of money. She's got too much notoriety from this to not set up a podcast, not set up some kind of a training facility. She's a household name now. However,
I hope she gets sponsored by a weed company.
Who's the girl that had to give back all her medals, and now she's basically, you don't even see her anymore. Marion Jones.
Marion Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
But she went to jail too, though.
Yeah.
No, that's different. No.
She gave herself up.
Nah, Mooch, that's different. That's different.
I know it's different, but I'm bringing her up with how they just like. That's it. You don't hear from her anymore.
We can't go there with Marion Jones. First of all, Marion Jones was dirty. First of all, Marion Jones had been using performance-enhancing drugs for years. She was cheating, and she lied about it multiple times. And this was how bad she was. She was married to another track athlete. I think he was a discus. I think he threw shot put and discus. He was another Olympian. He got caught with performance-enhancing drugs. Her agent was so worried that it was going to spoil, that it was going to damage her image, that she made a big to-do about it. Oh, I can't believe he's using performance-enhancing drugs, and divorced her husband over it while she was doping. And so when she got caught,
do you think they're going to ignore her? Do you think they're going to do her like that? That was just
no.
I think because it was such. I think for one, because it was a non-performance enhancing drug, and because she was so upfront with it, just saying, yeah, I did it, I acknowledge it. I think a lot of people are going to say, this is such a young woman. She made a mistake in the midst of being in complete grief. I think they might just say, I mean, hopefully, I honestly hope to God that somehow they can finagle some way to get her into the games. I think if she had got caught with testosterone or something, people would be like, no way. But because it was marijuana, I think if they find a way to get her in the games, most people will be okay with it.
Yeah, and Nike didn't drop her. Nike just
drop her. I feel like I had to bring Marion Jones up so people could know the difference too.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a stark difference. And this girl,
but people need to know though.
She's still gonna make money. I think she's still gonna make money.
Prolonged it. She prolonged it. She will get it because worst case scenario, she at least has a story to tell.
Right. And
she's gonna
have one of those nice real sports joints, the comeback story of how she had to go back and deal with her trauma and her grief and all that other stuff and
that's a movie.
A good deal.
That's a movie. That's a movie.
Yeah.
Lamont, can you highlight Kobe Vision's comment?
Think about how fast
when she ain't high.
Right.
My ass gonna be like the road runner.
Well, having said that, we'll move on to the next story. So the next story, we're gonna open up with Mike Willie, since he's the special guest. Mike Willie wants to know, the shin of raising kids in today's society. Now, I'm going to play a clip of someone, I guarantee you'll be able to figure out his political persuasion within a minute. Take a look at this, and then we'll get back to Mike Willie.
When you create a family, you are also creating a culture. And if that culture is a joyful culture, obviously it's not always going to be happy because sad things will happen, but if it's a joyful culture, if you are with your wife because you enjoy being married and she takes joy in you with all your flaws, and you take joy in her with all her flaws, and you take joy in your children, then you're going to have this joyful household, and the culture that you create in this household is going to have tremendous appeal. it's going to be a powerful thing because people are going to, your kids are going to say, hey, that is very cool. If you're saying like, if all you're saying is no, 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 don't do that, that's evil, that's evil, that's evil, then, you're not going to be, giving them a world of joy, of positive influences that is going to battle the culture outside. It's perfectly okay to make your point about the culture outside and even to forbid things, especially to younger children, that you don't want them to see. Even homeschooling them is, as far as I'm concerned, it can be a really wise move. But the most important thing you're going to do is pour the love and joy and show them that your way of life is a joyful way of life. And when they look around and see their friends taking drugs and looking like idiots, and when they see them, going off and becoming radicalized and being miserable, it's not going to have all that appeal to them. You'll have a lot more strength. Listen, as you go along the way, kids are going to believe all kinds of things, but joy is a powerful weapon.
By the way, did you catch that? Did you catch that Killmonger mask in his background?
I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't see it.
Y'all ain't see the Killmonger mask?
No,
okay,
go back.
I'm gonna play him one more time, and I want y'all to look over his right shoulder. It's underneath that.
When you create a family, you are also creating a culture. And
all right, look at that.
So, Mike Willie, I give you this sensitive subject about raising kids in today's society. Start us out, my brother. Give us your opening salvo. But what made you want to use this as the story that you was going to go with on this channel?
Just because I was watching Fatherhood, it really hit home for me because me and my daughter, we lost her mother, my wife, back in 2005, and
oh my goodness, brother, I'm sorry, my man. Look, Mike Willie, I'm telling you right now, my greatest fear is that or losing my wife and her. That's the one thing that scares me in life. And the only other thing that scares me is a blue whale. Those are the only two things I'm afraid of. But go ahead, finish, Mike Willie.
Yeah, just just thinking of our journey. My daughter just turned 20. And it hasn't always been easy. It's been a challenge. Mm-hmm. The main challenge is how today's society is with the whole social media. And then you have things that you see on television that we didn't see when you and I were coming up. And the thing is, we have to basically, like even now, I invade my daughter's privacy, and the more you're in their business, the less they're going to stray away, because they stray away, all this television and the influences around them will capture them, and then it'll be hard to get them back.
Okay.
And and then a lot of kids are having kids, which also makes it hard. And then the dads are, either getting killed or going to jail. Then it's on a single mom, and she has to go to work to make ends meet. So the television and the community is raising the kids, but the community isn't the same as it was before. You used to be able to get a whooping from, Miss Jones down the street. Now let Miss Jones touch you is going to be an issue, So things of that nature is like, it's totally different than it was in like the 90s or the 80s. It's totally different now.
Okay, good to hear from. We'll go to the other person on the panel that has a child. That's Moochella. Moochella, you can expand. You've got kids and you've got a boy, and you're a woman that had to raise a boy. Drop some knowledge on us, Moochie.
Well, he's grown now, and he between my my family and his dad's family, we all basically, like I said, it takes a village to raise a child. Basically, that's what it is. Everybody did their part. Like I said, I think we talked about discipline one time before, where if I had a problem, I have male figures to step in, and it is what it is. I feel like you should always keep the line of communication open with your child. You have to have a rapport when you talk to your child, not speaking at them. I never tried to embarrass my kid in front of his friends or anything like that. And I made myself clear that I wasn't his friend. I was his mom.
Okay, no doubt. Larry, talk about what you feel are the good ways to raise a child. I know you don't have one, but speak to how you was raised and what got you to where you're at.
Yeah, I think I mean obviously it depends on, you know, on where you're raising your kids and how you decide you want to raise your kids, because some people raise their kids in religious households, some people don't. You know, some people find their, you know, have their moral foundation in other, you know, in other ways. Some people raise their kids in the city, in the country, suburbs. It all really depends on where you're raising your kids, I think, because every time, depending on where you are, it's going to present different challenges. Um, you know, for Black folks, I think one of the most important things is just to constantly remind our kids that we're not going to have the same privilege that other kids are, and as much as they, even if they have white friends. That was one of those things that, you know, my dad had to constantly, you know, tell me growing up, is because I grew up in a pretty much all white area. He had to constantly remind me, you're not going to have the same privileges as these white kids. You can't do the same things they do and get away with it. You can do the same things they do, but you're not going to get away with it. And that was one of those things that I used to keep in the back of my mind when I would go out and go to parties, and I would see my friends get drunk, and some of them would drive drunk, and they would do various things. Those are things I just didn't do. And I think if you're a parent and you're I think if you're being realistic and you're raising your kids in a realistic way, I think when the times come where when you're not by their side, when they're forced to have to live those life lessons that you gave them, they will, you know. But I think if parents are, I shouldn't have to raise my kids like that. My kids should be able to be just the same way as anybody else. Well, you can think that, and then when they go to college and they get drunk and they drive home from a party, and the next thing you know, they lost their scholarship or got kicked out of school or whatever else, you're going to feel terrible because you didn't give them the tools that they needed to succeed. So okay. I think parents just have to, I think Black parents particularly just have to be realistic about their situations and raise their kids accordingly.
Now, I've had the opportunity in my short 41 years to work in so many fields, and a lot of them involve working with parents that had kids, young parents and teenage parents. I've worked with all of them. And what I've seen from all these parents is I've seen some parents who have done, by all standards, the very best for their child. And then their child becomes a teenager, goes off the beaten path, and does stupid shit. I've seen that. I've seen where you have some parents that completely shelter a child. Then when they finally get to college or whatever, the world is so totally different from what was inside their bubble. They clam up and don't know what to do. And then I've also seen parents where this seems to have been the best working scenario. From the minute their child can talk, they're doing the best they can to explain to their children everything they possibly can get that child to absorb, from the way life works, to communicating, to being in their life, to just letting them know that there's a voice there for them that is for them. But like Moochie said, I'm your parent and I love you, but I'm here to try to help you avoid some of the mess that goes on in life. And those kids still, they got into a little bit of trouble, but nothing that derailed them from still turning their future into something. I mean, this one girl, trouble she got into, and she had a great household. The girl was actually a great kid too. Her mom put her on punishment. She took her mom's car because she wanted to go to this party so bad. And I was there when this child was 5 years old, doing respiratory care with her, and basically was in and out of that girl's life till she was 15 when she took the car. And her mom grounded her and told her what happened and took away the other most important things in her life, which was her cell phone. That was her discipline. This mom used whippings throughout, from the time she was 5 till about 12. She used whippings. That wasn't the discipline that worked from her. What worked for this child was taking the things away that she loved. And so I think that with anybody raising kids right now, you've got to find a line of communication. You got to do the best you can to understand your child. You've also got to find out what corners of the community are places and areas where you can trust your children. And also, I think it helps to get to know any friends that will become friends with your child. And even then, it still might not work out perfect. But at the end of the day, as a parent, you've got to do the best you can to understand what's going on with your child and keep a good eye on them. And I'm with Elle every single weekend. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to let her know that Daddy's a place of peace. He's a place of love. He's disciplined, and you can talk to him. And he's going to be here for you to try to guide you to do what's right, to try to guide you when you mess up, so that when you become a sentient adult, you can have the best foot going forward.
I think that I think another thing parents need to do nowadays and is to allow their kids to not always be so safe. I feel like nowadays parents are so paranoid that they're constantly holding their kids' hands. They know where their kids are every single second of every single day. They have tracking devices on their phones. They have Apple AirTags on them. They have all kinds of stuff on them. I see kids where the parents have leashes on them, and at times I'm thinking to myself, wow, let your kids run. Let them fall down. Let them bump their heads. They'll learn. If they're running around and they're turning around looking backwards while they're running forward and they smack into a wall, they won't do that again. Let them. I mean, I feel like you're there. I feel like parents should be there to protect their kids from the big stuff. You don't let them run out in the middle of the street so they get hit by a car and die.
I think the other part of what you're saying, Larry, is you also have to know know that child too. You got to know what pulls the strings for that child also.
Yeah, I feel like as far as like me being a single dad, don't get me wrong, I do have lots of help, but auntie or grandma can't be dad, and I feel like I have to give my daughter a mixture as much as I can get on her about what she's doing wrong, but it's nothing like that girl hearing I'm proud of you. So often we just want to discipline, but help them along the way. Just tell them that you're proud of them. Just give them a hug and see how much joy it brings to them. It's a lot of little things that we can do.
Like that's part of knowing your child. That's part of knowing what your child responds to and what they don't respond to. And the lady I worked with for the longest time, like she was beating the hell out of her little girl. When I say that, I don't mean like slap. She was giving her a whipping, and the child just was not responding to the whipping. The little girl wasn't it for her. So when she finally figured out this little girl is addicted to this phone, she started taking that phone. That little girl started getting her act together. So for me, it's like identify what your child likes and then just kind of tease it out. There is no one right pathway for there's no right pathway for everybody. There's foundations that we all can use to try to figure out which course we need to go with our child and our family. But there's no, this book's going to work for every family. It don't work like that. I don't think.
But also, it's different stages with punishment with kids. Like when when my son was a certain age, I know the thing was his wrestlers, his action figures. I used to take all them things and put them in a shoebox.
What?
Take the cartridges to the game and the remote and leave the game there so he could see it. You got to earn all of this back.
Lord,
that's how I was. You have to earn all of this back.
Now, see, as a boy.
Yeah, it was like
my Lord,
yeah.
Lord,
when he was little, yeah.
Lord, let me tell you when my mama quit giving me whippings. My mama quit giving me whippings when she realized how much I love Nintendo.
There you go. You gotta know what they how can I say it? I'm gonna be your kryptonite, so I'm gonna take them games. I used to take all his stuff, put it in a shoebox, and put it under my bed.
Oh,
and I dare you to go try to touch it.
Oh my God. You made it, Mooch. You took his action figures.
Yes, they used to be. I'd be like, come bring all your stuff. You didn't do this today. I got this report in school. And they used to go in the shoebox.
Oh my, Mooch, you took his action figures and his video game?
Yes, first of all, he wasn't playing video games during the week. And I had off during the week at that time when he was little. So yeah, I used to give him a little bit where he could play it on the night that I was off. If I was off, but he had to do all his homework and stuff first. And not only that, he was a latchkey kid, so he had to make sure he had stuff done where I'm checking homework because I go to work in the afternoon.
Okay.
So
I agree. I think that part of having punishment that's effective and works is being creative with it and knowing your kid I mean, when I was coming up, I mean, my parents got divorced when I was about 10 or 11, something like that. And I realized quickly that my parents didn't have as much control or power over me as they like to make us think. And so when, you know, it was one of those things, like if I was to get a spanking, I would be like, cool, I got my spanking, I'm done. I can go back outside now. You know, and that's what I would be like, just hurry up and spank me so I can get on. And then afterwards, when they would try and punish me more, and they would say, I'm going to put you on restriction for a week. And then I would be like, I'm just going to be out. I'm just going to leave. And they would say, you can't leave the house. If you do, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to do. And I would say, or what? Or what? That was once I realized the or what, there was really nothing else, because it was like, once you got divorced, I was like, okay, moms, you're at work. You're going to law school and you're at work. Dad, you're living the next city over. You can't do anything to me. There's nothing you can do. Really, what got me was when my dad got creative with punishments, and he was like, okay, you want to act up? You want to act a fool? Here's your punishment. Here's a 3-volume book on Frederick Douglass. Read them, and we're going to discuss it. And he started giving me these books, make me read like the autobiography of Malcolm X. He was giving me these books that got in my head. And he was like, okay, he knows. Here's a young black boy. He's living around all these white kids that are just a bunch of rich, spoiled fuck-ups. And I don't want my son to go down that path. So he gave me these books that got in my head. And I think that's one of those things. You have to be creative with your punishments. Otherwise, you end up with kids who are just defiant and don't really, it's like, okay. It's like nowadays, it's like when you hear about people going to jail. Oh, man, I can do a 12-month bid. That's nothing. Oh, I got to do 2 years. I can do that with my eyes closed. No problem. And they do it. They go get in trouble.
That's somebody that's already institutionalized, where they talk about jail like this summer camp.
Right, it's summer camp. Wow.
But it's nothing to some people. Even if the criminal courts gave people punishments that were actually something that they would either that they don't like more, or it's more hurtful to them, or something that's more that's more productive and constructive, maybe people wouldn't reoffend so much. I mean, if you told some dude, your job is going to be your job now is to go clean the freeways every single day. And if you don't, I don't know what kind of punishment you give them after that, but if they don't show up or something, but you have to figure out some other punishment,
I don't know. If I had a kid now, I would be changing the Wi-Fi password so I get everything done. I've seen somebody do that too.
Oh, I already got that in my mind.
I know somebody that does.
I'm already thinking about that.
Like when you get everything done, then you'll get today's Wi-Fi password.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're gonna turn it
that's
up.
What, if that works, then that's cool. Unless
if you got a kid that's tech savvy, yeah.
I'll tell you, when I was a kid, one of the things that got me was because my parents used to threaten me with all kinds of, you can't do this, you can't do that, we're not going to get you this, we're not going to get you that. I had a paper route. I was like, I'll buy it myself. I don't need you to buy it. I'll buy it myself. And it wasn't until
I'll make you pay rent.
See,
it wasn't until my paper route was threatened. It wasn't until they threatened to take my paper route away that I was like, oh, hold on a minute. Hold on.
Oh, really? So you making money then?
Right. And my mom, let me tell you what my mama done to me. Now, I'm critical of this behavior because we already in the hood, we poor. I played sports in high school. My mama made me sit out a year of sports for something where one of them situations where the punishment didn't fit the crime. Just because her knowledge base of education, higher education, what it takes to get there wasn't there. I am a product of not my mother. I'm a product of my grandma, and as you all say, the community. Because that's who drugged me across the finish line. Wasn't really my mama's doing. My mama gave me food and popped me out of her vagina. Other than that, it was the grandma and the people in the community that kept me on the straight and narrow in times when I wanted to smoke cigarettes, when I wanted to do drugs, when I wanted to get drunk. There was always someone in the community and a few friends that said, nah, bro, you've got too much going on. Don't even go down this road. Don't even get involved with it. So I agree with you guys. You got to know your kid. Try to find people you can trust in the community that makes it a community, but make a good line of communication with your kid and understand them as best you can. So
I don't think we have that so much anymore. I know Mike Willie
a village doesn't raise a child anymore.
No.
I know Mike Willie was saying it used to be that you can have Miss So-and-so down the street, give your kid a spanking and it wasn't a problem. But the problem with that today is like back in the day, you know, your Miss So-and-so may have been able to give you a spanking, that, you know, Miss So-and-so down the street may have been able to give you a spanking, but, you know, when your mom was working late and she wasn't home, Miss So-and-so down the street used to also say, hey, baby, come in the house. Have you eaten yet? And feed you. You know, they don't do that. You can't go and spank kids when you don't really know them and you don't know the parents and no one really hangs out and you're not, you know, it's one thing if so-and-so down the street's feeding your kids on those days and you're coming over to have, you know, family barbecues or neighborhood barbecues and block parties and you're walking to church. All that stuff builds a community. When you don't have that community, you can't just see some kid acting bad and whoop his ass and then send him home. You go to jail.
Everybody's working now. But I know when I was younger, I don't know about the beating part, but I know the neighbor down the street told on me. She heard me cursing and she told my father I was down the street cursing like a sailor.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, post your comments on this subject. Subscribe to all our channels. We're going to move on to the next one. Mike Willis, since you're the guest, pick whose story you want to see next, Larry or Moochella?
Let's go with ladies first.
Okay, all right. Well, ladies first. Moochella is going to tell you guys why you should be watching the Mary J. Blige Amazon documentary. Before she goes, take a quick look at some of the action in the documentary.
My whole world's upside down.
It just saved you.
Global superstar.
Double Oscar nominee.
9 Grammy Awards.
The queen of hip-hop and R&B.
Hip-hop and R&B. Moochella, break this down because this was your review.
Okay, I like this documentary. It discussed Mary J. Blige's second sophomore album, My Life. This is the 25th anniversary of the album, My Life. Mary J. The documentary showed how that particular album got a lot of people through hard, depressing times in their lives. I can speak for that for myself. And it was one of the most important albums and one of the darkest albums of her career. Mm-hmm. It was released in November 29th of 1994. And I was looking back when this album was released. You know what was going on with me?
What was going on?
My father sat us down and told us that my mother had 6 months to live.
Oh.
I had moved back home. I was going through a divorce. I had my son, and I had a red Geo Tracker. I had the big speakers in the back, and I used to go sit in my car and play this CD from the beginning to the end.
Damn.
You know how music now, nobody plays a CD from the beginning to the end, or nobody has CDs anymore. But this was one of my albums that got me through. I was going through the death of my mom. I knew my mom was leaving me. And I had seen that, you know, that progression of the cancer and everything like that. And I had a failed marriage. And I was only like 24. I was a kid myself still. So I think when you told me to do this and when I started writing everything down, I was like, oh shoot, no wonder why I like this album so much. And when I watched the documentary, I went back and played the whole thing again. I was putting it on my story on Facebook all week too. So I mean, I don't know if you follow me, but this, and then I didn't even know Big Bug from Today wrote on that album. I knew Prince Marky D wrote on the first one, but they all was going through something. But I don't want to give too much away. And if you listen to Mary, if you're a Mary fan, you need to watch this. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't like to give too much away, but and I feel like I gave y'all a part of what was going on in my life at that time. But I liked it. Yeah, it had a bit of nostalgia for me.
Let me ask you the tough. You think, Moochella, do you think I'm going to just let you get away like that and not ask you the tough question? Are you serious? No.
Go ahead. What's the tough question?
Call me
Do
Popo.
I need some tissue?
No, you're not going to need no tissue. You're not going to need. So, was it entertaining? Was the documentary entertaining?
It was entertaining, but it had, you understood why. With me, I like shows like Unsung where they explain what they were thinking about when they wrote stuff, because I'm a writer myself. And
we know.
And when you it's like you feel certain emotions when people talk about they was thinking about at the time that they wrote that song.
Okay.
When you got when somebody's writing, it takes, you feel all of their emotion in the words, and that's basically how I felt about the whole documentary. I liked it. I've always been a Mary fan. I went to her concert when she first broke up with Kentu, and she poured her heart out on that stage.
The next thing I was going to ask you was, what would you compare it to? And you compared it to Unsung, so that that gives the viewers a place that they can peg a relationship to something that they already watched.
It was that, but a little deeper. You got to speak to everyone from her stylist to Diddy to all the writers, the producers, her family, everything. And why she picked certain melodies for certain songs. It just was really deep. I liked it. And then you saw her fans, how they react with her, and how they was telling her how that album basically was the Band-Aid for they pain. That's how I say it.
So basically what you're saying is our girl Sha'Carri Richardson should have turned on Mary J. Blige
Yeah,
instead
she
of
should be listening to
Weed.
Mary now, and then just listen to it.
I feel you. Moochie, good job, Moochie. Now I'm going to ask the fellas. Fellas, starting with you, Larry. You going to watch it?
Yeah, I actually plan on watching. I believe it's on my playlist on Amazon Prime Video. I just haven't got to it yet.
Gotcha. Mike Willie, are you going to watch it?
Definitely. They have a lot of Prime has a lot of music documentaries that I'm checking into, but this is definitely at the top of my list.
That's right. And I'm a little old school. I'm an old soul. I was raised by a grandma predominantly. So they've got one on Okay, I'll tell y'all in a minute. But anyway, good job, Moochie. Subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. Go check it out. Now it's Larry's turn to lead in on this story. Fear the black quarterback. And I'll let you guys take a quick little look at how that went down and why you should watch it. Here we go.
It's expected for white quarterbacks to be able to develop, to have the possibility of being great. It's expected for African-American quarterbacks to be great all the time.
I knew that failure was not an option.
There are people that hate the fact that you exist just because you had the audacity to be great at a position. That's a lot to deal with.
I was the first African-American quarterback to ever start at the University of Washington. A lot of people weren't happy about that. I got booed pretty viciously.
You're either considered a starter or you're out of the league.
Black athletes have often been thought of as athletic, and you can really take this back to slavery.
At some point, regardless of how racist you are, you just can't deny talent.
Vice Versa presents Fear of a Black Quarterback.
Well, Larry, before I let you go, I'm going to say this to my girl, Jamel Hill. Shouts out. She catches us every now and then. Detroit. Jamel Hill. Before the civil rights movement, they was denying us not only sports, but they was denying us to sit in the hotels with them, to sit on the bus with them. Hell, you had to sit in the back. And to this day, they keep trying to find ways to do that. And they're using the Supreme Court to do that, my sister, by making it tougher for minorities to vote. They're going to always try some shit. But Larry, the floor is yours.
Yeah, this is one of those documentaries where if you should probably watch something light before it and probably watch something light after it, at least after it, because it's one of those things. If you are, I mean, even if you're not a sports fan, it's an interesting documentary. But if you're a sports fan and a football fan and you watch this, it's just gonna make you mad. It's not like they're telling you things that you don't know, but they tell it in such a way that it illustrates just how extreme some of the things that we think we know truly were, and how vicious and vitriolic people are, towards Black folks. That even when you are like, we often are thinking always, well, if you're great at this, if you're great at sports, people don't care because they just want to win. They put winning above all else. That's not entirely true. They want to win, but they want to win their way. They don't want you to be quarterback. They don't want you to be the leader of the team. They want to win, but they want to win by putting you in some other position where they can have you banged around and catch a ball, but they don't want you out there directing traffic and leading the team and throwing. This was hard to watch at times, but there was one particular character in this documentary where there was something that I did not know, and somebody who I have an immense amount of respect for after seeing this, and that is Donovan McNabb. And
I was gonna say that because Larry, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna say this. For someone who played college football, we always thought Donovan McNabb might be pushing the kind of Oreo line. You know what I'm saying? Like, he seemed like he was a company man. Like, he wouldn't be the one that if you needed someone to step up and talk about injustice for Blacks, he wouldn't have been that guy.
He's gonna be the safe guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Finish your point, Larry.
Yeah, I was gonna say Donovan McNabb, to me, obviously he's not in that same era, but if this were back in the days of Jackie Robinson, he would have been that dude where they would have said, we want you to be that trailblazer. And he could have fulfilled that role, because this was a very stand-up dude that played the game and was great at it, was able to endure all of the horrible, just wretchedness that people spewed at him. And on top of that, when Michael Vick needed that hand up, when that brother needed someone in his corner to say, let's give him a shot. This is a solid man, a solid football player. I think he's contrite. He realized his mistakes. He went to bat for him. That's not something that Black folks do often. So many times, Black folks are afraid to step up and to recommend somebody for something as simple as a job or anything, because they're afraid, oh, well, if this person embarrasses me, if this person does something stupid or says something, they're going to embarrass me, and their failings are going to come back down on me. And Donovan McNabb said, I don't care. Basically he said, I don't care. I'm going to go to bat for this dude. He must have been talking to Michael Vick when he was in jail to know what kind of headspace this guy was in. Because when he went into the head office and asked the owner to bring him in, and then they try, and that just it speaks to how much they actually respected and trusted Donovan McNabb too. When he said, "Bring him in, I'll be responsible for him. I'll look out for him. I'll make sure he stays on the straight and narrow." For them to actually do it, for them to say, "Okay, we trust you," and to actually do it, and then for Michael Vick to come in and respect Donovan McNabb enough to stay on that straight and narrow. And people were, in the documentary, they were saying a lot of people wouldn't do that because they'd be worried that he'll come in and take your job because he's likely a better athlete and a better quarterback than you. And that's exactly what happened. He came in and he took his job, but it wasn't like McNabb was just unemployed and went home. I mean, dude just got traded. But that to me was amazing. And the thing that stuck out to me there, and I know some people might say something. I'm not trying to insult any single mothers. I know, Moochie, you're there, but the thing that caught me is Donovan McNabb had both his mother and his father in his life, his entire life. And I think that just plays a world of difference. Mike Willett, I know you're a single dad too, so I'm not saying anything bad about you. I just think that there is something to be said about having a two-parent household and the way that gives you stability all the time, because it takes the weight off of one parent and allows both people to be able to parent and not be overwhelmed and not to have to deal with too much and not being given the kids space to mess up, because he knows no matter where he turns, there's going to be someone to answer for. There's going to be someone to answer to. And you can just see it. You can see it and you can hear it in his confidence. You can see it in his leadership ability. It's just, and I think that's one. White people aren't dumb. There's documentation on this. They've talked about this, about how these racist folks in the day, from way back in the day up through today, have devised ways to break up the black family, because they know that if you keep the family intact, that you are going to have more confident, more successful kids. And that was one of the reasons why they came out with all kinds of things from Section 8 and everything else to try and break up black families. But you can just see, and it doesn't even take a lot. You can just see how having one person like Donovan McNabb, who comes from that two-parent household, how so much of that confidence can transfer to someone else, how he's able to use that to protect another black man that went astray. And I just think that's so important, if we can get that back, to just have enough black folks out there that are strong and confident, that can go and pick up the ones that have fell down and lift them back up and say, we're not done with you yet. And that's what Donovan McNabb did to Michael Vick. He picked him up and said, we're not done with you yet, and got him back in the game. And I don't even know Michael Vick or Donovan McNabb, but I hope I can meet Donovan McNabb one day, just so I can shake his hand and say thank you for what you did for him.
Mm-hmm. All right, Moochella, give us your perspective, but let me add a caveat to what Larry said. One thing that started to make me kind of like Donovan was I was following politics as a young man, because I already seen the atrocities going on in this country, and my segmented family in the community was big into understanding the plight of African Americans. So there was a time Rush Limbaugh, for a brief period, was working for ESPN, and guess what got his ass fired? He made a derogatory comment about Donovan McNabb. Off with his head, they fired him. Now, granted, that didn't ruin Rush. That actually probably helped him. But that was the turning point for ESPN, saying, you know what? We're going to stick behind these minorities and try to help uplift them a little more. Then we're going to let some pig get up here and talk about the only reason he's getting the opportunity is because he's black. Having said that,
you saying that, but look at how they blackballed Jamel Hill.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
they blackballed her.
Yeah, they blackballed her, but along the way, she had been warned a couple of times.
I think she shouldn't have got into it with Trump. I agree with that.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That was the beginning of her demise.
But see, that wasn't just her first time doing it.
Yeah, I know. She was warned the first time. I know.
Right, she was warned several times.
See, this is the problem, I think, with the way that things are right now, right? Is that when you're someone like Jamel Hill, you're expected to have a voice. You're expected to have an opinion. Your whole job is commentating. Your job is to have opinions. That is what she does. She has opinions and she expresses them. And now when you have opinions and you are a prominent figure in the community, people expect you to speak up for us. When you're a black person and black people are saying, we watch your show because you're one of us. You're good, but there's other good people out there too, and we watch you because you're good and one of us. So now we expect you to speak up for us when the time comes. The problem is that when you speak up for us, then other people are saying you can't do that. You need to shut up, otherwise we're going to cancel you. We're going to cancel your contract. We're going to get rid of you, and you're not going to have a job. And so it really puts them in a bind where it's like, who do you stand with? Do you stand with the people that have your back, or do you stand for the people that sign your paycheck? And for her, I think because of the way, if this had happened maybe 20, 30 years ago, maybe she would have said, I stand with the people that sign my paycheck. But now, because of the way things are with social media and whatnot, you stand with the people that have your back. Because if ESPN fires you, you do what Jamil Hill, you go start a podcast. You start a podcast that has millions of followers and subscribers, and you basically get your check from the people directly.
And ESPN had to give her a severance package that was like $9 million. I mean,
she's good.
Yeah. So Moochie, what did you think about the show?
Okay, we talked about this last week because I brought it to everyone's attention.
Oh Lord Jesus Christ! Give Moochie her props, ladies and gentlemen. Give her
The
her
girl
props.
brought the football show to everybody's attention. Anywho, I say that to say I really was open off of this because it just showed me the real deal with everything. Last week we did talk about how they touched on it from the first quarterback and the transitions and the different stars that we've come to grown and love. And when I told you about everything, I didn't want to give everything away. I like for people to experience it themselves. But the commentators that they had speaking on it, this was really interesting to me. It was an eye-opening experience. And if you do have Vice, I suggest you check it out. If you do have Vice, check it out. Check out the dark side of the NFL.
If you don't have Vice, Moochie, even if they don't have Vice, you can go and get Vice TV. I believe that you can get it on your mobile devices and on the streaming services, and they will give you 4 free passes so that you can watch at least 4 different shows. So you can choose this as one of your 4 shows.
And this is why I need you in my life, Larry, because because you explained everything. See, I didn't know that. I got cable, so I don't know all these things. We have to have the tech person here. And that's where you come in. Look.
Hey, Mike Willie, are you going to try to give this a shot?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to give it a shot. But just to speak, I haven't seen it, of course, but hopefully I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance or not knowing. But just the whole politics in sports, you know, you have to be above and beyond, like exceptional, to get a starting job as a black quarterback in NFL. Meanwhile, you see guys like Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow are giving jobs. Ryan Lee,
they explained that in it too.
They did. They talked about it like they said with black quarterbacks. Yeah, they said with black quarterbacks, they say either you start or you're cut. There is no backup black quarterbacks. They were saying they're like either you start or you're cut.
Well, that's changed a little bit.
That has changed a little bit.
A little bit. Now we got
but
like
here's the crazy thing about how when that's changed, right? Is that we have black quarterbacks that are backup quarterbacks that if they were almost on any other team would be a starting quarterback.
Not to mention you have Deshaun Watson in Houston. He was fine until he decided he wanted to leave this owner who's clearly racist. Now he has all these allegations against him. Like, come on, like.
And do you know who? Do you now?
I didn't know that about Howard Cosell.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes. That's what ruined his career. But the thing about
his bad
Deshaun, who do you think referred him to the initial massage person that was doing hand jobs? The owner.
Kraft? Oh, the owner?
Yes. Not Robert Kraft. That's a good joke, though, but the owner. But at the end of the day, you only said what really goes on with these rich dudes. They have the cover and the money to get away with shit that black dudes can't get away with because they try to villainize us. To this day, there are people who still hate Michael Vick more than they hate the people that tried to overthrow the government on January 6th. What the hell is wrong with that picture?
Well, how they hate him more than the white football player that was beating up his wife? And they
don't even talk about that.
You don't hear much about
because
that.
she's a black
woman. You
woman.
don't hear nothing about it.
Right. Right.
That's because she's a black woman. They don't care. They don't care. And the other thing, I mean, if you look at that black woman who got beat damn near to death. I mean, she was beautiful, and you saw her in the hospital room, you would not recognize her. She looked like she just got out of a really terrible MMA fight or something. Mm-hmm. And then you have someone like Michael Vick who had a dogfighting place at his house. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I love myself. I love dogs. I love myself a dog. I do. But dogs are not people.
Nope.
You know, dogs are not women.
He punched his girlfriend, whatever. I'm not condoning that, but she married him afterwards, and he still wasn't able to get back in the NFL. Like, it was over for him.
And she even asked him,
They
don't
allow
she even
it
asked,
too.
don't do this. She didn't even want to prosecute him.
Right.
Wow.
It's just a double standard.
I mean, let's be
It
real.
is.
There are some people in this world that come from very, very dysfunctional bits of society, and they deal with their issues differently. And they're not, I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it's right, but there are some people, there are women out there who are violent and they hit their men, and there are men that are violent and they hit their women. And that is what they know as the norm of how to deal with relationships. And on some level, when you say, okay, we are going to cut you off and we're no longer going to allow you to be employed because the way you live your life is different than the way I live my life, at some point it's just wrong. Don't get me wrong, you should not beat a woman and a woman should not beat a man. But you have to work with these people because like if I start beating my wife all of a sudden, yes, that's out of character, it's out of norm, it's out of who I am. But if somebody grew up in a household, if a woman grew up in a household where women beat up their husbands if they tell their husbands to take out the trash and they didn't do it, and so they go smack them upside the head with a frying pan, and the man came from the same household, that's their norm. They're not upset by it. They're just like, this is what we do, and you need to deal with them. You need to bring those people into the fold. You don't put them out of work and shove them to the corners of society so they can continue to do it. You need to bring them into the fold and teach them.
Yeah. You send them somewhere where they can get some help with that, bro. I mean, there's a whole lot of shit that people have in their home that are cultures that I might not understand and I don't want to see at work. So if they come to work and they, beating their man outside the parking lot and shit, I don't want to see that. And nobody wants to see that. And that's some shit you need to get fixed. You need to get it fixed.
But you can't fix that if you shove them away.
You can't fix it, but you're not having to deal with it at your job.
Right, but then
it's
we're
not the job.
About,
it's definitely not the job's responsibility to be trying to fix people unless it's somebody that is one of your higher ups, or you the type of person who, as an owner, you care about every one of your employees so much you try to fix all their issues. And let's just keep this thing real. The majority of people that own businesses in America are small businesses, and you can't afford to be fixing situations like that.
No, I agree, but football teams are not small businesses. But I do agree with you that your workplace is not the place where those types of things are fixed. But the NFL and these teams are trying to act like they're more than just a game being played, like they are some sort of social, whatever. And if you're going to put yourself up and elevate yourself as some sort of, standard of social norms, then you have to teach the people that are falling short of those norms how to work and behave and act within the social norm. And if you just get rid of them and say you're not acting right, and we're going to shove you to the darkest crevice of society, then you can't expect anything to change. And when you get more great players that come from those bits of society, you can't expect them to come in and act right if you're not going to teach them how to behave and how to act within the parts of society that you want them to be in.
It only works for that in the NFL or any major sport, Larry, if your talent supersedes your detriment. So if homeboy was that talented, if this was Tom Brady, we wouldn't be talking about it because Tom Brady still be playing right now. But dude wasn't that super talented. They let Michael Vick come back because he was super talented. Now they ain't give him the shot that he should have had, but he got a chance to come back. They ain't let Colin Kaepernick come back because his talent was kind of borderline. And I'm a fan of his social movement. But if Colin Kaepernick was as talented as Michael Vick or Tom Brady, they would have let his ass back too, even with him taking a social stance.
No, I disagree. I think Colin Kaepernick was just as talented. I think they didn't let him back because he was just too dangerous.
He was dangerous. He was dangerous, but he wasn't as talented as Michael Vick. Nah.
I kind of disagree just a tad bit, Lamont, especially for that year where they cut him out because me being a statistician football watcher that I am, this guy threw 16 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and then next thing you know, he doesn't have a job. They hiring guys that's working at the grocery store to play quarterback when this guy's just waiting to get picked up. Then they set a workout up where it basically was set up for him to fail. It's just like, I don't know. And then like the Vic thing, it kind of makes me wonder, like, do these owners and people of that nature, like give black guys chances just because export entertainment is what America does best.
Mm-hmm.
We don't export much else, but entertainment is at the top of that list.
Mm-hmm. So I asked you this because me and Larry, we went on a rant about Tim Tebow ass left the NFL for 8 years and getting the homeboy hookup. This is nepotism. This is whiteitism. This is hand-me-down-tism. This is
all the isms.
This ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. His college coach gets an NFL job and brings Tim Tebow in to play tight end after, and I remember me and Larry talking about this. They always used to want the black dudes to change positions, right? And the black dudes like, nah, I want to play quarterback. And we talked, the teams and folks would talk to, oh, he's not a team player, yada, yada. Okay. Then when white quarterbacks say, I don't want to change position, oh, he's passionate about his position. Why would he change position when he's been playing quarterback since the Pop Warner League and you would sweat them suck their penis? Okay.
And that's exactly what the documentary covers.
Right. Tim Tebow, when he was in the NFL, they wanted him to switch. He said, no, I'm a quarterback. He ain't cut the mustard. Right. 8 years later, his ass is back in the NFL, and they got him in there as a tight end. Yeah, my end tight-eye. Yeah.
Nepotism at its finest.
At its finest, man. But we're going to move on, people. Great discussion. And that's what we try to do on these Friday nights. We try to keep this thing raw and gully. It's that time, ladies and gentlemen, for the new segment on my show called The Fuck. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the fuck of the week. But before we get to this young lady, let's play this.
Hi, little girl. You're so cute. Is your mommy home?
Bitch, I am my own mommy, the fuck? Bitch, you just heard me. The fuck you got going on? Your ugly ass milk trying to poison me and shit. I don't know where the fuck you got that milk from. Definitely ain't I no fucking cow.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, your the fuck of the week is this chick on IG named JJ.butterfly. Looks like Nigerian flag. I don't know. Anyway, she goes on to say Jamaican. A dude that stay in the house, go to work, and play his game is a corny ass nigga. That's my the fuck of the week, and I'll give it to you first, Moochie, because you a lady.
Now, what did I talk about with y'all last week?
L7.
About the L7, right?
L7.
It is nothing wrong with an L7. Long as he has other activities besides playing a video game, he has to engage her too. That's all I'm saying. That.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's somebody that's not getting in trouble, and as long as he's paying attention to the woman, I don't see a problem with it.
Mm-hmm. Mike Willie, what'd you think?
Man, I feel like, look, as long as you're taking care of business, you can play your game and do everything else. Like, what about, see, and it's allowed for women like this to call guys out, but the moment somebody call her out, you know, here comes the Me Too movement. You know, it's just.
Hey, me and Larry call out these hoes left and right, but we also call out the men too. I mean, we do. Yeah. We call out men. We call out these scallywags too. But go ahead.
Oh no, nothing. It's just sad that that's her mindset. Obviously, she hasn't been around a solid dude before, and that's where she struggles from. That's her issues, not everybody else's.
Or maybe in her mind, a solid dude, if he ain't worth a couple of million, play basketball, or somewhere can upbring her in the limelight, he ain't a solid dude. Big Larry, you get the last wheel at this one, my brother.
Yeah, this is one of those things that me and my boys have had all kinds of conversations about this very thing, because as a black dude who's not out there trying to act like a gangster and not trying to be awesome like some hardcore dude, just a straight up dude that's like, I'm just trying to stay above the law and within the law and make my money and live a nice life. I've been called corny I don't know how many times. and I'm just like, okay, I'm corny because I don't want 10 baby mamas and don't want to have a jail record that's a mile long, and I don't want to worry about You know, I don't want to worry about the SWAT team kicking in my door. You know, because that makes me corny. Okay, I'm corny then. You know. But there's some girls, they like that. They think that if you're not some hardcore dude, and I'll tell you, there was one day, and I think back to this. There was one day when it was me and my boy. We were this is a friend of mine who's got a lot of money. He lives up in the hills in LA. We were all up in his house. It was me and him and like 4 girls. We were all sitting in his jacuzzi, and they were all talking about men, and we were talking about men and women, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you know, for a guy, you know, for a black dude, I need him to be like thuggish and hardcore, but not too hardcore. But he's got to be educated too. Like I want a dude that's still like at the top of his class, but he's got to be hard too." And they were just giving this crazy list, and I was like, "This dude does not exist." I was like,
Who is this chick?
This was not just one chick. This was like 4 chicks. They were all. This is how they were, and I've heard this not just from them. I've heard this from other people. They were describing this person that just did not really exist. And I told him, I said, here's the problem. I said, you guys have created this impossible standard for black men. I said, but let a white dude with busted ass, dirty New Balance and a torn up college sweatshirt roll up in your life, and you'll be like, oh, he's cool, he's sexy, look at him, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they all kind of got caught. They were like, yeah, well, it's kind of true. We do have different standards for, you know, for black men versus other men. And I was like, see, and that's on some bullshit. I was like, why do I, as a black man, have to try and run around acting like I'm hard so that you'll think that I'm cool or I'm sexy? Why can't I just be me? You know, why can't I just be the dude that likes cameras and shit and has fun and, you know, and they're like, you know, but that's part of the problem is you have so many dudes out there trying to live a life that's not really, they're not built for, because that's what the women think that they want. They're being shown this on TV and movies. They're hearing it on records. They're thinking that everybody should be a gangster, but then they don't want a gangster. They really want to do that works. So they want a gangster who's like an educated dude that went to Wharton, but he used his Wharton degree to be a gangster at work or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
I'm just laughing at the comments in here.
Yeah,
He said girls like that tweet have a mattress on the floor with no boot. She said girls like that tweet like this have a mattress with no board on the floor. So basically her mattress is on the floor.
Well,
I think simplicity is good.
And she probably got a Birkin bag and all of that.
And at the end of the day, my fellas that's watching this, if this is you, be confident in you, brother. I was like that, and look what I brought home. And before that, I had bitches like this chick. I had plenty of, and I got to the point where chicks like her was no more important to me than me coming home playing my video game, eating a damn honey bun, because they get old too. They have trappings with them. They want to go shop, don't want to work. And I got to the problem, I'm not dealing with that shit. You know, I like the girl that's looks like the club girl or has that body and all that shit. And at the end of the day, you figure out what's more important to you. And if some chick is telling you that this is not important to you, fuck up. Be confident in stuff.
And a scholar in one.
Right. I will say this, and I've told men this or young men this before when they start dealing with women, is women will often ask, what can you do for me? Or what are you bringing to the table? I said, that is the question that you should be asking them is what are you bringing to the table? Why should I choose you? Mm-hmm. Besides the fact that you're pretty, what do you have to offer? Because I can go find a pretty face anywhere. I can take an average chick, drop her off at the MAC makeup, at the MAC makeup counter and pick up a hot one in an hour. Yep. I was like, so you tell me, what are you offering me? Because there's a lot of these chicks that are out there that are pretty, but they're dumb as a sack of bricks. They're not educated. They have no ambition. Most of their ambition is, how do I get a dude that's going to take care of me? So you need to find a chick that's actually going to be worth something. Yep. I was telling one of my boys this. He was saying, oh, well, I'm going to find me a hot chick. I don't need her to do a whole bunch of shit. I said, how about this? How about you get married? You marry this chick or you just have a kid with her. I said, do you want your son or your daughter raised by a dumbass chick? Well, no, that's what I'm there for. What happens if something happens to you? What happens if you die? You get hit by a bus. The cops, raid your house and put a false charge on you. Something stupid. I don't know. I said, some reason you're not there. what happens to your kid? Your kid's gonna be raised by a sack of bricks. Is that what you want? You know.
The sad part is, Larry, those are the ones that's having kids.
Yep.
Those that can't even hold a 3-minute conversation without talking about going to the club or smoking a blunt.
Yep. Because they so hot and they just be letting dudes dick all up in the cunt with no protection.
Right.
And then have the nerve to have an attitude when you got with this dude, you let this dude hit it with no condom. That wasn't no good. He's the opposite of what this chick right here is talking about. And then you got the nerve to be indignant talking about he don't pay no child support. I'm taking that N-word to court.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just said you didn't want to do that work, a real job, and go home. That's what you're saying. So y'all leave me comments, but this was the new section we have that I call the fuck of the week.
Hi, little girl. You're so cute. Is your mommy home?
Bitch, I am my own mommy to fuck. Bitch, you just heard me. The fuck you got going on? Your ugly ass milk trying to poison me and shit. I don't know where the fuck you got that milk from. Definitely ain't I no fucking cow.
Oh man,
Oh, my
I have a
goodness.
special one for you in next week's segment. Now we're to our last segment, which is the preview to the Shy episode 7, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give you guys a preview, break it down, see what you think. Take a look at the trailer they gave us. And you can also go watch my trailer review, but I break it down in depth by myself.
Just feels like every time we're about to be back to normal, our world gets turned upside down again. What's wrong? Nothing.
I don't like you going to no sex party without me.
You can come if you want. Have you even started to ask yourself the hard questions yet?
Really, Mom?
I'm trying to protect my people, man. It's taking a toll.
I want to know who was that hit the glass.
Well, Moochie, we'll start with you, and we'll start with the glass then, because I know it's a woman, because I see them tig old biddies. I know it's a woman, but what woman is it? At first, I thought it was Keisha. So, Moochie, you get the first crack. Who you think it is, and what do you think we're going to see in this coming episode?
Is it Amani?
Amani chest ain't
don't have
that
any
big.
titties.
Look, I don't see the way. Look, let me hold on. It's
Amani
dark.
chest ain't that big.
I can't see the boobs.
I can see them. Do you see the way that white figure is standing away from her chest?
Mm.
Yeah, I got 2020s. Yeah, I got 2020s.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's Jada.
It could be Jada. That's a great guess. So, having said that, what do you think is going to happen on this episode? What you think is going to happen on this episode?
With this, they gonna run up in that house and get buck wild and get them girls out of here.
Oh, program note, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of which, this young lady that's swinging on the pole from the trailer, she will be in the building with us next Friday. Her name is Marquita, and she's going to be breaking down everything that's going on in the Shy, how she got her role, what she's up to now. She will be up here with me, Larry, and Mooch next Friday. Stay tuned, because she might have her pole in the background.
Is she gonna be on the pink?
Hey, we're gonna ask her.
That's gonna be one of my questions.
We're gonna ask her. We're gonna ask her. Mike Willie, what you think gonna happen this episode?
Honestly, I'm a bit behind on the Shy.
Okay,
I'm a bit behind.
Well,
I'm going to catch up, though.
We appreciate the honesty, and it's fine. Yes. You know, you're a busy man. You're raising the family by yourself, doing the whole thing. We get that. I get it. Look, let me tell y'all something. I'm falling back on YouTube because I'm too busy trying to be in my daughter's face. You know, if I can't get work done when she's in school, it just ain't happening. It definitely ain't happening on the weekend. So I feel you, Mike Will, and it's all good. Don't worry, Larry will talk enough for you. Larry, what's going to happen this episode?
Oh, God.
I got pictures for you, Larry. So let me give you pictures to help clue you in. So what's going to happen with these two?
You see that in the background right over there? Look just over Dre's head. You see what that is?
Yes.
Yep.
That's a shark. It's jumping. It's jumping right over the show.
Oh, let me show you.
Right over the shark.
Let me show you the next picture. How you look at this right here.
Oh, man. I'll tell you.
I'm going to give it back to you.
Man. I just... I really feel like this show has just truly jumped the shark. Like they've gotten to the point of ridiculousness where you're just like, it's such a stretch now. You know, it's like the first couple seasons, they made me angry, but at least they felt like maybe they were touching on some realness. And this just seems so, it just seems like they're just taking it off into some deep end, trying to come up with stories that don't really exist. Like they really want Dre and Nina to have this storyline. It's just a whack storyline. It was a whack storyline from the time they got married. It's a whack, just contrived little drama they have now. And then you have whatchamacallit, you have Trig up there being the closeted gay superhero. You know, it's just I mean, this dude's running around Chicago, like he's the equalizer now? I mean, we're supposed to forget that he's a freaking sociopath. When we met Trig, he walked into a room and shot a dude dead and then just started having a conversation like nothing happened.
Well, Larry, he's changed, my brother. He has not
changed. He's for the community now.
He's for the community. He down with Tracy and the community, huh? Yeah, with Tracy and the community. Remember, Larry, you said when you get a job and they act like this based on their past culture, that the job should be willing to still let them work in the job. So he worked with Duda now, and Duda
he hasn't changed anything. He is just the same psychopath that he's always been.
So Larry, let me say this: Batman is a psychopath.
No.
Nope, Larry, nope. You don't get it both ways. Batman is a psychopath. You don't get it both ways, my brother.
No, Batman is not a psychopath.
He's a psychopath. And what made him? You know what made him go crazy? Seeing the Joker kill his parents turned him into a psychopath.
I'll tell you why he's not a psychopath. Because Batman still has feelings. They show him all the time. He still has feelings.
And Trig don't have feelings for Imani.
Yeah.
No, Trig doesn't have any feelings. He may have some feelings for Imani, but he seems to be very much a sociopath where he doesn't seem to feel anything. Like if I punch a dude in the face and I'm beating him up, I'm gonna be like, damn, I'm fucking this dude up. I should probably stop right now because he's probably had enough. Trig doesn't have that. He doesn't have that gene as a sociopath. He doesn't feel anything for anybody.
Like that.
If you want to say Batman is a sociopath so that Trig can also be one, you can have it. They're both sociopaths. You know?
They are.
All I'm saying is I don't like that dude because I'm not saying that I don't know if he can be reformed or not, his character, but I don't like him. And so I'm not going to sit up there and try and say we should reform his character now and turn him into some freaking closeted gay superhero running in there, kicking in the doors of trap houses and breaking girls out. To me, it just seems like it's way over the top, and I'm not there for it.
Superhero.
I think ain't he gonna have some of Duda's muscle going in there with him?
He gonna have some of Duda's muscles going in there with him. And I would
feel better. I would feel better if they threw a cape up on Imani and let Imani run up in there.
You know what? Maybe that was her that broke the glass.
Hey, Imani is just as cruel and smarter than Trig.
No, she may be smarter than Trig, and she may be willing to do stuff, but Imani seems like she has some feelings left in her. Trig just seems like he kills without any sort of thought. He's just like, oh, this person is in my way. Boom, done. And he goes and has dinner afterwards.
Do you think Imani's gonna get a body in this one?
Imani's already got a body in this show.
No, I'm talking about in this episode coming.
She'll probably kill what's his name that was living there, Jason Weaver's character.
Well, she needs to shoot him. Yeah, because we ain't forgot about that. I think it's
between Shad and Nuck.
Yeah, she gonna get one of them. And let me ask you guys this, then we getting out of here.
Marissa says Larry only likes Kev. You're pretty much right, Neil. I like Keisha too. I like Kev and I like Keisha. Everybody else, and I sort of like Emmett sometimes because I like where Emmett's going. Emmett is trying to get his life together, and to me, that's far more important than the silly shit you did as a kid. Is the type of man that you're turned into as an adult. So I guess I can say that I like Kev. I like Keisha. Keisha is to me has done some really stupid stuff. Like when you break out of your kidnapper's house, don't sit up there and have a Shawshank Redemption and scream up at the sky. Get your ass up and run. You know. And,
she was kissing the ground, remember?
You know, and Emmett, I like where Emmett's going, but everybody else, there's nothing to like about him.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, here we go. This is it. Emmett and Tiff are going to a sex party where we're going to see our girl Marquita, who's in this sex party, who's on the show next week, next Friday, July the 9th, my daughter's birthday. They're going to this sex party, and your boy Emmett looks a little happy in there while they passing out Tiff and Dom's product. Moochella, is there any situation where he might be bringing home someone else since they in this open relationship?
Look, Tiff opened Pandora's box with this one. Emmett might like it and don't want to go back to just, you understand? He might not want to go back to having a closed marriage. He might like the open thing.
Okay, Larry, what you think?
Yeah, I think he's gonna have some fun. He's gonna probably Tiff's probably gonna end up getting butthurt because he's gonna end up having fun. He's gonna meet somebody there and either get with someone there. He's gonna meet someone there. I think their relationship is doomed. They keep trying to doing this sort of will they, won't they, like they're having this open thing, but somehow it's still supposed to be all loving and whatever else. It's not an open relationship. She cheated on him and then came back and said, I want to keep doing it. That's not an open relationship. Open relationship is when two people decide that they want to have other people in their lives together, not when someone basically comes and dictates to you the terms of how they are going to cheat on you. You know, I think what's going to happen is that Emmett's going to at some point realize that either he wants to be in a marriage that's in a faithful, committed marriage like he's been in, or he doesn't want to be married. And he's either going to get rid of her and just go back to his old player ways, or he's going to find someone else and he's going to end up being with that somebody else in a committed relationship. Because that's where he seems like his mind is gone. Like he seems like he's done with his player ways and he's moving into his full grown manness. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up with somebody else. Hopefully Keisha.
Nah, that ship has sailed this season anyway.
Yeah, I think they're gonna wait if it does get another season.
I'll tell you, man, if it wasn't for these damn views you get, I wouldn't even be watching this garbage ass show.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we'll end. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, get yourself that life game. I'll be back. I'm going to try to see if the wife can do us Sunday, but I ain't promising nothing. So y'all might not see me again till Monday night. Have a great 4th. Mask up to that Sex is Hell video. We'll see you.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.